Hello nerds, Producer T here with a new series that will be breaking down all Bond films ever made. Recently, Netflix has uploaded all of them, and I thought, why not rewatch and sometimes watch for the first time all the Bond films and see what truly makes it a Bond movie. I'll be discussing the actor, the gadgets, the vehicles, the villains, and of course, the Bond girls and how they changed throughout the film. So grab your martinis, shaken, not stirred of course, and join me as I break down Bond. Before we jump into the first film, let's take a look at how it all began. In 1952, British writer Ian Fleming, no relation, wrote his first spy novel, Casino Royale, starring our hero James Bond. Before he became an author, Fleming was a lieutenant commander in the Naval Intelligence Division where he helped plan Operation GoldenEye, which sadly wasn't about a giant space lasers like the book and movie. Technically, he was pretty close to being a spy, but he was more M than 007, since he did more planning and assigning than actual fieldwork. He drew from his wartime services and his career as a journalist for much of the background detail and depth of his James Bond novels. His first novel, Casino Royale, went on to be a success when it was released, having 3 print runs to meet demand. 11 Bond novels were written, along with 2 collections of short stories between 1953 and 1966. The character James Bond is an officer in the Secret Intelligence Service, commonly known as MI6. Bond is also known by his code number, 007, and was a commander in the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve, much like Fleming was himself. The Bond stories rank among the best-selling series of fictional books of all times, having sold over 100 million copies worldwide. Fleming also wrote the children's story Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in 1964 and 2 works of non-fiction. In 2008, The Times ranked Fleming 14th on the list of top 50 greatest British writers since 1945. Fleming was a heavy smoker and drinker throughout his adult life and suffered from heart disease. In 1961, aged 53, he suffered a heart attack and struggled to recuperate. On 11th August 1964, while staying at a hotel in Canterbury, Fleming went to the Royal St. George's Golf Club for lunch and dined at his hotel with friends. The day had been tiring for him, and he collapsed with another heart attack shortly after the meal. Fleming died at age 56 at Kenton Canterbury Hospital in the early morning of 12th August 1964, his son Casper's 12th birthday. The influence of Bond in cinema and in literature is evident in films and books, including the Austin Powers series, Carry On Spying, and the Jason Bourne character. In 2011, Fleming became the first English-language writer to have an international airport named after him. The Ian Fleming International Airport near Oraka, Bessa, Jamaica, was officially opened on 12th January 2011 by Jamaican Prime Minister Bruce Golding and Fleming's niece, Lucy. Now that we know some history, let's begin with the first movie, Dr.No. While Dr.No is the first movie from the 007 novels, it is not the first book. Dr.No is actually the 6th book in the series. Fleming wrote the novel in the early 1957 at his GoldenEye estate in Jamaica. It was first published in the United Kingdom by Jonathan Cape on March 31st, 1958. The novel centers on Bond's investigation into the disappearance in Jamaica of 2 fellow MI6 operatives. He established that they had been investigating Dr. No, a Chinese-German operator of a guano mine in the fictional Caribbean island of Crab Key. Bond travels to the island and he meets Honey Child Ryder and later Dr. No. The film Dr. No was released in 1962, produced by Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, and directed by Terrence Young. It was the first Bond film in the Eon production series. Sean Connery portrayed Bond, with Joseph Weissman as Dr. No and Ursula Andress as Honey Child Ryder, renamed Honey Ryder. Although the story follows the same general storyline, there are some changes. The film shows Dr. No to be an operative of the fictional crime organization Spectre, and his island fortress is nuclear power. No one is killed by a surge of guano, but by drowning in reactor coolant. Many aspects of a typical James Bond film were established in Dr. No. The film begins with an introduction to the character through the view of a gun barrel and a highly stylized main title sequence, both of which were created by Maurice Binder. It also introduced the iconic theme music written by the film's score composer, Monty Norman. Production designer Ken Adam established an elaborate visual style that is one of the hallmarks of the film series. So what other aspects make a typical Bond film, you ask? Let's get into it. Best part of any Bond film to me is the opening title song, usually based around the title of the movie. However, in Dr.No, there is no second credit sequence featuring the title song and graphics. Only the gun barrel sequence with our main James Bond theme first heard here. The piece, composed in E minor by Monty Norman, has been used as accompanying fanfare to the gun barrel sequence in every Eon Productions Bond film except Casino Royale, which is played fully instead at the end of the film. The James Bond theme has accompanied the opening titles twice as part of the medley that opens Dr.No, and then again in the opening credits of From Russia with Love. It has also been used as a music over the end credits for Dr.No, Thunderball, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, The World Is Not Enough, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. In 2008, the original recording of the James Bond theme by the John Barry 7 and Orchestra on the United Artists label was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Now, on to
Bond. James Bond.
The most important aspect of any Bond film is, of course, 007 himself, and the actor who portrays him. There have been 6 official actors to play Bond on the big screen. Note, I said official Bonds. I know there are more than 6. Don't come at me. In our first Bond movie, we have the late, great Sir Thomas Sean Connery, who took the role at age 32 and was Bond for 6 films over 9 years. However, these movies were not all together. George Lazenby in Diamonds Are Forever was in between his stretch as Bond. More on that later when we get to that movie. Sean Connery will be forever known as the first to utter the unforgettable introduction, Bond, James Bond, which continues in every single movie and of course gets parodied whenever a character wants to introduce themselves. Leave a comment if you ever said your name just like him. The choice of Connery for the role of James Bond is owed much to Dana Broccoli, wife of the producer Albert Chubby Broccoli, who is reputed to have been instrumental in persuading her husband that Connery was the right man. Ian Fleming originally doubted Connery's casting, saying, "He's not what I envision of James Bond's looks, and I'm looking for Commander Bond and not an overgrown stuntman," adding that Connery, who was a muscular 6'2" and a scout, was unrefined. Fleming's girlfriend, Blanche Blackwell, told Connery had the request sexual charisma, and Fleming changed his mind after the successful Dr.No premiere. He was so impressed that he subsequently gave the character a Scottish heritage, which his father stated as being from Glencoe and the Scottish Highlands in the 1964 novel You Only Live Twice. Now, I'm not saying this happened, but it's sort of strange knowing how Connery was with women and both the producer and the creator's girlfriend were the ones to convince them. I see you, sir. No hate on the game. Next up.
Morning, Q. Sorry about the leg. Skiing?
Hunting.
We all know being a spy means you get cool gadgets to use. And in the 007 verse, these gadgets are provided by Q and the Q branch. Grenade pin, knife shoes, watches that do everything but tell time. If you need it, Q will make it. But the first gadget given by Q wasn't anything high-tech, just a gun. Well, not just any gun, but his signature gun, the Walther PPK. While lots of guns get used through the film series, the Walther PPK is 007's main sidearm in every movie. We start the film Dr.No with 007 being chastised for nearly dying in his last mission due to his old gun jamming, and in walks Q with his new weapon, the Walther. At first, 007 is hesitant, but as we know, that gun becomes like a conjoined twin to him. As we go into more films, we will see more gadgets and gizmos, but honestly, nothing is better than the Walther. Even I got one. Now, how does Bond get around? With only the best. Q branch, along with the gadgets, is often seen giving 007 a variety of vehicles. But James Bond's most notable car is the Aston Martin DB5. which wasn't and isn't always the case. In fact, in Dr.No, James doesn't get any car issued to him. He kills an assassin and takes his car, which was a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. But later in the series, he's issued cars ranging from Bentleys to BMWs, which we will go over in each movie. But what's a good Bond movie without the... Bond girl is a term for a female character who is a love interest, ally, or adversary of the character James Bond. Ben McIntyre of the Times has speculated that Fleming's lover, Muriel Wright, may have been a powerful inspiration for his female characters. McIntyre describes both Wright and the Bond girls as plain and undemanding, beautiful but innocent, outdoorsy, physically tough, implicitly vulnerable and uncomplaining, and then tragically dead before or soon after marriage. Wright was a wealthy model, a skilled skier, and a talented polo player. After her death in 1944, a devastated Fleming called her too good to be true. There are several different archetypes for Bond girls: romantic interests, those who assist him, femme fatales, who make an attempt on Bond's life, and sacrificial lambs, female allies or associates of Bond who wind up dead. We can combine the first two and say there are his main sidekicks, and throughout the films we can separate these women into three categories. For Dr.No, we don't get the sacrificial lamb archetype, just main sidekick and femme fatale. Our main sidekick is Honey Rider, played by Ursula Andress. She became internationally famous as Honey Rider, a shell diver and James Bond's object of desire in Dr.No, even though her dialogue had to be dubbed by Nikki Vanderseel. In what became an iconic moment in cinematic and fashion history, she rose out of the Caribbean Sea in a white bikini sporting a large diving knife on her hip. The calypso singing her character did in the scene was dubbed by Deanna Kublin. The scene made Andress a quaint, essential Bond girl. Andress' letters said that she owed her career to that white bikini. This bikini made me into a success. In 1965, nude photographs of her from Nightmare in the Sun were published in Playboy. It was the first of 7 times she was pictured in the magazine over the next 15 years. When asked why she had agreed to do the Playboy shoot, Andress replied coolly, "Because I'm beautiful." I wanted to mention that because how badass is just saying that? That's the first baddie right there, people. Our femme fatale was Miss Taro, played by Zena Moya Marshall, who was born in Nairobi, Kenya to parents of English, Irish, and French descent. Her exotic look resulted in her being cast in ethnic roles such as Asian women, including her role as the Chinese character Miss Taro. Now that we've gone over the women in Bond's life, we'll go over what every hero needs.
I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
First, we usually have the henchman, or the sidekick, or just the muscle. The two main ones that come to mind are Jaws and Oddjob. For Dr.No, we have the 3 blind mice, which I find hilarious because they pretend to be 3 blind guys trying to kill Bond throughout this movie, and they have the song 3 Blind Mice playing in the background.
They got the carving knife to cut the pussycat's life. The puss will get that knife a trifle in a tree blind.
But every great protagonist needs a great antagonist, and throughout the film series, we get some memorable ones. Goldfinger, Scaramanga and his third nipple, and our most recurring, Ernst Stavro Blofeld of Spectre. In Dr.No, the titular villain this time is, of course, Dr. No. He is a brilliant scientist with an implied Napoleon complex and an example of the mad scientist trope. He is self-described unwanted child of a German missionary and a Chinese girl of good family. He later became treasurer of the most powerful criminal society in China, in this case, the Tongs. He then escaped to America with $10 million of the Tongs' gold bullion. He specialized in radiation, which cost him both his hands. They were replaced with crude bionic metal ones, and Dr. No's hands have great strength. He can crush a metal figurine with them, but are lacking in manual dexterity, which leads to his demise. However, in the books, after he stole the Tongs' money, they tracked him down for its location. When No refused to tell them, the Tongs cut off his hands, shot him through the left side of his chest, and left him for dead. Dr. No survived due to a condition called dextrocardia, in which his heart is on the right side of his body. What's really important about Dr. No is that this is the first time we learn about Spectre, Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and Extortion, which is led by Blofeld. More on that later. Dr. No offered his skills and expertise to the Americans and then the Soviets, but was rejected by both superpowers. To get revenge, No joined the criminal organization Spectre and relocated to his island of Crab Key in Jamaica. He then set out to sabotage the nearby tests of American missiles by jamming their signals and making them land and explode on different targets that they had planned. This forces the Americans to spend time and money redesigning their missiles. At the climax of the film, Bond enters the control area where No and his assistants are preparing to disrupt the launch of an American rocket. Bond sabotages Dr. No's swimming pool reactor, allowing the American missile to launch successfully, while No and most of his henchmen do not understand what's going on. When No observes Bond's sabotage, the two men fight while the other personnel flee the imminent explosion. They fall into a small platform that slowly descends into the boiling coolant over the overheating reactor. Bond manages to climb out, but No can't get a grip on the metal framework due to his metal hands, and is slowly boiled to death. Spectre learned of the death of Dr. No, and then they vowed revenge on James Bond, which will lead up to the events in From Russia with Love. This also sets up the recurring battles between James Bond and Spectre in the future films. Lastly, and I forgot to mention this, I guess I had one too many of these myself, was Bond's signature drink. The vodka martini, medium dry, shaken, not stirred. In Dr. No, these words aren't actually uttered by James Bond himself, but by one of the hotel's waitstaff, and then later in the movie, Dr. No himself repeats the order for James Bond.
One medium dry vodka martini, mixed like you said, sir, and not stirred.
A medium dry martini, lemon peel, shaken, not stirred.
Vodka?
Of course.
Later on, you do see mostly Bond always ordering this drink and giving the classic line, shaken, not stirred. But a lot of times, there'll be usually one of the Bond girls saying it for him, trying to predict that they know his drink, and the like. I'll be including clips of those with each and every movie. And that, my nerds, is what I think makes up the aspects of a classic Bond film. I'll be continuing this series with each movie in theatrical release order. Let me know if there are any other aspects of a Bond movie you think should be added for the rest of the films, and of course, let me know if this is your favorite Bond film or not. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and James Bond and myself will be back in...